In 1964, child prodigy Frank participated in the New York World's Fair to compete in the invention contest. Judge David was quite impressed with Frank's jetpack prototype, but quickly changed his attitude when Frank admitted the device wasn't working well. Although Athena, David's assistant, had a soft spot for Frank, David still wouldn't accept the entry unless the jetpack was perfected. Frank left in disappointment, recalling his father's words that he was wasting his time. Unexpectedly, Athena approached Frank, handed him an orange lapel pin with a green T on it, and told him to follow her and David without revealing himself. Frank sneaked onto an empty boat in the amusement area. A laser detected the pin, opening a secret door that led the boat into a dark corridor. A futuristic vehicle appeared, and Frank stepped inside. However, the doors closed and the vehicle started shaking. When the vehicle stopped, Frank stepped out and found himself on a platform surrounded by thick mist. He was astonished to see a flying car pass by, carrying Athena and David. Frank tried to chase after it, but was blocked by giant robots. While running, he accidentally fell to a lower level, damaging his jetpack. A friendly robot appeared, fixed the jetpack, and returned it to Frank. At that moment, a group of guards arrived to capture him. With no other choice, Frank strapped on the jetpack and activated it, managing to fly for the first time thanks to the robot's repair. Flying through the mist, Frank realized he was in Tomorrowland, the city of the future for brilliant minds. Seeing Athena, Frank landed next to her and tried to prove to David that the jetpack had been fixed. David ignored him, but Athena took Frank's hand, showing him the new life ahead. Many years later, in 2015, teenage Casey snuck into the NASA launch site in Florida to sabotage demolition equipment, trying to save her father's job as a NASA engineer. Athena silently observed from the shadows, and when Casey returned home, Athena used a scanner to collect her DNA from the bike helmet, encoding it into the final Tomorrowland pin. The next morning, Casey's father, Eddie, received a call from work explaining the situation. Casey thought she had saved his job, but Eddie revealed they would be sending a replacement crane and reminded Casey that she should stop. However, Casey insisted that hope was more important than anything. That evening, Casey tried to sabotage the demolition again, but was ambushed by the police and arrested. A few hours later, someone paid her bail, and Casey got her belongings back, discovering a strange pin. When she touched it, she saw a completely different scene. The pin fell, and when she touched it again, the scene appeared again. This time, Casey held onto the pin and found herself standing in front of a large city. But as she stepped forward, she bumped into a jail cell wall. To avoid trouble, Casey picked up the pin wrapped in candy paper. At this point, Eddie arrived to pick her up after paying her bail. On the way home, Eddie scolded Casey, but she told him to touch the pin to understand. However, nothing happened when Eddie touched it. Confused, Casey tried again and saw the other world, realizing the pin only worked for her. Tired, Eddie took Casey's pin. At home, Casey waited for Eddie to fall asleep, then secretly took the pin back. She touched it and found herself in that other world, trying to move toward the city, but constantly bumping into walls and falling down stairs, waking Eddie up. Casey hid and decided to try another place. She went to a large field, touched the pin, and appeared in Tomorrowland. She boarded a train deeper into the city and realized the pin had a timer. Casey got off the train at the next stop and saw important scientists entering another car. She tried to follow them, but water suddenly surrounded her as the pin's time was running out. Despite her efforts to continue, Tomorrowland vanished, and Casey found herself in a swamp. Back home, wifey Casey woke up her younger brother, Nate, and asked for their dad's computer password. They searched for information about the pin and found a store that bought such pins. So Casey wrote down the address, telling Nate to tell their dad she was going camping with friends. The next morning, Athena arrived at the house and heard Nate lie about Casey going camping. Athena realized Nate was hiding something and pressured him to reveal the truth. Casey arrived at the store from the advertisement and met two strange employees. They were very interested in the pin and confirmed that Tomorrowland was real, a place where brilliant minds gathered to create without being bound by government or greed. The only way to reach that city was through the pin. When Casey refused to sell the pin and revealed its origin, the two employees locked the door, revealing plasma guns. Casey hid among the guns, but was still discovered. Suddenly, a grenade flew through the window, creating a force field that trapped the two employees. Athena entered, explained that it was a time bomb and helped Casey escape the force field. But the bomb was deactivated. Two employees broke free and Athena fought them hand to hand, while Casey threw items to help. When Athena removed one of their heads, Casey was horrified to discover that both were robots. Knowing they were about to self-destruct, Athena pulled Casey out just in time for the door to explode. Then, Athena broke the car door, shoved Casey inside, started the car, and drove off, explaining they needed to escape immediately. On the way, Athena revealed that she was the one who gave the pin to Casey. While talking, Athena suddenly malfunctioned and repaired herself, revealing that she was also a robot. Casey, terrified, jumped out of the car. Athena chased her but was hit by a truck. Taking advantage of the driver checking on Athena, Casey hijacked the truck and fled. Athena was unharmed, chased after her, jumped through the truck's window, reclaimed the keys, and locked the doors. After Casey screamed, Athena forced her to be silent and stated that Casey was the final pin, needed for Tomorrowland because there they had created something that shouldn't exist. Meanwhile, the police arrived at the exploded store and found the burned head of a robot. A man named Dave, claiming to be a secret agent, appeared, drew a futuristic weapon, and killed all the police officers. He declared he had found the girl and ordered the news to be sent to David. Athena and Casey continued heading toward New York, searching for the only person who could take them back to Tomorrowland. Casey asked about the others who had pins, but Athena didn't answer and powered herself down. The next morning, Athena drove so Casey could rest. She mentioned that they were about to meet someone named Frank. While Casey slept, Athena recalled fond memories with her old friend. Hours later, Casey woke up when she was pushed out of the truck in front of a house in the countryside. Seeing Athena drive off, Casey had no choice but to head toward the house. A guard dog chased her, causing Casey to stumble into the mud. But she realized the dog was just a hologram. Ignoring the fake beast, Casey knocked on the door and held up the pin, demanding to be taken to Tomorrowland. Frank, now elderly, stepped out and demanded to know where Athena was. Hearing that Athena had left, he became angry and told Casey to leave, saying Tomorrowland was just a manipulative lie. Frank went back into the house and locked the door. Casey didn't give up, sitting outside in the rain. Eventually, she came up with a plan to set the tractor on fire to lure Frank outside. While he was busy putting the fire, Casey ran into the house and locked the door. Frank tried to get in, but Casey used a blast of air to push him out. Inside, Casey discovered a series of strange inventions. One machine played a recording of young Frank trying to make Athena laugh, but Athena told him to stop. Casey also saw many screens tracking the news and a countdown timer ticking down. Frank returned through a secret passage and tried to chase Casey out, but she convinced him to answer her questions. Frank explained that he had been exiled from Tomorrowland for creating something that shouldn't exist, the countdown timer. He asked Casey if she wanted to know the day of her death, and she said yes. But she emphasized that accepting fate could also lead to that outcome, so she wouldn't believe it. Casey's words made the percentage on the screen drop, impressing Frank. The conversation was interrupted when Dave and a team of agents, actually robots, arrived to hunt down Casey. Frank immediately activated the metal doors. When one robot broke through the door, he used an electric tool to shock it. Another robot was destroyed by an electric trap on the wall. Frank eliminated two more by opening a trap door, causing them to fall below. Frank and Casey ran into the living room, where another robot was waiting. Frank fought it hand to hand, while Casey helped by using a teleportation device to trap the robot inside. They ran upstairs, bypassing traps that had been set, but Dave caught up and pointed a gun at Frank. Fortunately, Casey found a baseball bat and knocked Dave out. Frank pulled Casey into the bathroom, activating the bathtub to transform into an escape pod. Another robot charged in to stop the pod, but Frank launched it away, sending it flying into the lake. Frank and Casey swam to shore and ran into the forest, where Frank had hidden a bicycle, but it didn't work. At that moment, a light appeared. It was Athena arriving to pick them up in a truck. The three of them left, but Frank and Athena started arguing. Frank revealed that all the pins should have been destroyed, but Athena had hidden a box of 12 to continue recruiting people. Frank was angry that Athena had dragged more young people into this and accused her of pretending to have feelings to lure others in, and then abandoning them. Athena was hurt but temporarily ignored it, focusing on getting them to a local station where Frank set up. There, they used another teleportation pod to travel. And when they arrived, Casey realized they were at the top of the Eiffel Tower. There was a guard at the door, but Frank used a special tool to help Casey take the guard down with a light tap. They entered an exhibition room showcasing famous inventors. And Frank explained that Eiffel, Verne, Tesla, and Edison were the founders of Tomorrowland, using the Eiffel Tower as an antenna to reach another world. Frank activated a secret entrance, causing the Eiffel Tower to split in half and reveal a rocket. They rushed inside as the robots pursued them. The energy from the rocket launch pushed the robots back. After ascending high, the rocket opened a teleportation gate and rapidly passed through, transporting the group to Tomorrowland. When they landed, the authorities immediately came after them. Frank quickly told Athena to hide a special bomb inside her. The first person to block their path was David, the governor of the city, who intended to arrest them. However, Frank and Athena quickly changed Nick's mind by informing him that Casey has the ability to lower the percentages on the screens. Shocked by this information, Nix leads the trio to the headquarters where they are keeping Frank's dangerous invention. In the elevator, Casey sees holograms, which are actually flashes of the future created by the machine using a particle that moves faster than light. The group enters the machine's core, where Frank teaches Casey how to use it. Casey is amazed when she sees an image of herself at home from a few mornings ago. Frank explains that the machine can view both the past and the future. Casey starts skimming through history at high speed, until she discovers the problem. The machine predicts the world will end in just 58 days. Casey doesn't understand why they aren't warning people on Earth. Nix calmly explains that he doesn't care because it's Earth that will end, not Tomorrowland. He also refuses to let anyone from Earth move to Tomorrowland, as they would destroy it just like they did with Earth. Casey refuses to accept this, and her defiance causes the screen to flash with an image of a better world. Frank tries to point out that this proves there's still hope, but Nix quickly knocks the group unconscious. A while later, Frank wakes up and finds Athena, who tells them they're going to be deported from Tomorrowland. Casey is disheartened, believing everything they've been through was for nothing. When Frank tries to comfort her, she angrily accuses them of lying to her. In her frustration, Casey suddenly realizes something. Frank had been secretly using the machine's signal to watch it from his home. That signal spread across Earth, planting the idea of doom in people's minds, creating a self-fulfilling prophecy. But if Casey could change it with her optimism, it means turning off the machine would allow people to see hope again. When the guards arrive to escort the group through the portal for deportation, Casey tries to convince Nix of her discovery and asks him to turn off the machine. Nix calmly replies that there is no off button. His composed attitude makes Frank realize the truth. Nix intentionally planted this idea in people's minds. Nix explains that in the past, he had tried to warn the government about the impending disaster, but they ignored him. So he sent that idea directly into people's minds as a warning to change their ways. However, instead of trying to build a better future, humanity accepted the apocalypse as inevitable. According to Nix, it wasn't the machine's fault, but humanity's own doing that brought disaster upon itself. Frank pretends to agree and shakes hands with Nix, but only to touch his bracelet and restart the machine's platform. Meanwhile, Athena and Casey take down the guards, while Frank fights Nix, who activates 2 robots to chase the girls. Frank asks Athena to use the bomb, but as she tries, the robots catch her. Athena passes the bomb to Casey while fighting the robots, and Casey runs to the platform, which shakes violently as Frank and Nix wrestle for control of the bracelet. At that moment, Casey finds the bomb about to explode. Athena is forced to reopen the portal, and as Frank and Nix run back inside, they throw the bomb into the portal so it explodes far away. The portal collapses and falls on Nix, trapping him. However, a gun nearby is within Nick's reach, and he grabs it to shoot Frank. Athena sees a flash of Frank being shot in the future, so she rushes to shield him. Casey takes the gun from Nix, and Frank tries to bring Athena to a repair shop. But Athena stops him, saying there's no time left. Before she dies, Athena wants Frank to know something important. She plays recordings of their time together from years ago. As a child, Frank had a crush on Athena, but he was heartbroken when he learned she was a machine. This always troubled Athena, and she recorded her thoughts, describing the feelings Frank evoked in her, emotions a robot shouldn't have. Frank is overjoyed to know Athena liked him too, and never stopped believing in him. It is time for Athena to go, as her body is about to self-destruct, and she wants to use the explosion to destroy the machine. Frank uses a jetpack to fly up with Athena, and after saying goodbye, he drops her into the machine. The entire structure explodes, and Tomorrowland loses all its power, while Frank struggles to control the jetpack to land safely in the river. Casey rushes to check on Frank, and as they start discussing what to do next, flashes from the future give them an idea. First, Frank repairs the portal so Casey can reunite with her family. Then, they work together to restart the Tomorrowland pin program. They create a series of robots like Athena, which use the portal to travel the world and leave pins for brilliant minds who can help build a better future for Earth. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you won't miss more exciting videos. Thank you for watching.